Hi guys, Steph here. I am going to try and do a Copic coloring video, and I'm gonna try and it'd be easier for me to color it this way, but I know it would be sideways for you guys. So let me zoom out a pinch, and I will try and do it this way. So I'm going to try and make sure I keep checking the camera, but I'm going to do skin and hair, and then I'm going to try and edit the video so that as I continue on with her, you know, I keep it all in one video. Unless it goes really long, I'll do a two-parter. But for the skin, which I'm starting with, I'm going to be using E11 as my darkest. I know that's probably not going to focus, but E11 as my darkest. E21, E00, and E000. And then for my blush, I'm going to use R20 and R30. Okay? So, and I will say the color as I use it. So, I am going to start with my darkest E11. And I am just going to very gently go around the areas that I think would be darkest. And you always want to, choose your light source. For this one, because she's kind of straight on, and I know the card I'm going to be making, the light source is going to be kind of coming kind of straight on, a little bit up, if that makes sense. And I'm going to give her a little bit of a nose, which, because I'm putting it here now, I can change that. See, I'm not liking it right now, so it's easy enough to change it. Okay, I forgot her ears. Hold on. It's been a while since I did one of these videos, guys. Okay, now I'm going to take my E21 and I'm going to blend that out. And I'm not going to worry about her eyes because I go back in with a white gel pen and black Copic multi-liner and kind of brighten up the eyes a bit. So I don't worry about getting Copic color on the eyes. And as some of you know, I am not the best at staying in the lines. That's why I fussy cut a lot. Okay. Blend that out as I go so I can get rid of it and just have a little. Now I have my E00, and I'm going to continue to blend that out further. Now my skin, I always go over twice. Unless I tend to, sometimes I'll look at it and I'll say, you know what, I like it like this, I'm going to leave it. But I tend to always go over it twice. So, and now I'm going to take my E000, go over the whole thing. I'm not going to worry that it's not super blended or, not too many highlights. This is putting on my base coat, as I call it. And see, I didn't like that nose, so I'm just going to blend it out now. I always try and add a nose line. If I don't like it, I get rid of it. Okay, now I'm going to, before I do my second coat, I'm going to add my blush. So I'm going to take my R20, and I'm not used to this angle, so hopefully her blush comes out okay. I'm going to add a little bit of blush below her eyes. And then I'm going to take my R30 and just blend that out a bit. And if after you add your second coat of skin color, you feel that the cheeks aren't dark enough, just go back over it. So now I'm going to take my E11 again, and I'm going to go around one more time, very gently around the chin, and then a little darker under the bangs, so that she's got a little bit of definition there. Then I'm going to have my E21, and I'm going to blend that out all the way around. And I'm just gently using the side of my brush. I'm not pressing hard. I'm just gently flicking out. I go over the entire color when I do it. Here's my E00. Again, blending out, going over all of my coloring. And as you know, everyone colors differently, so you know, if this doesn't work for you, then don't worry about it. I'm going to go a little further in with this E00, just because the E000 is quite light. Then I'm going to take my E000 and I'm going to just blend it all out again. Okay, make sure I like my blending. And then, as I said, I'll go back in and add those white dots with a white gel pen. And sometimes what I like to do is add just a little bit more. Sometimes I'll use a BVOO and just add a little bit more there. So there's the face, and her ears aren't quite matching, so I'm going to darken them up a little with an E11 and an E00. Okay, now I'm going to go on to the neck and hands. Just making sure it's in the camera. So again, now with the rest of the skin, it depends how it blends. Sometimes I just do one layer, sometimes I do two. I'm going to take my E11 and I'm going to go around where I think there would be a shadow. So right around where the jacket is laying. Okay, and then I'm going to take my E21 and I'm going to blend that out as carefully as I can, because I am not very good at staying in the lines. E00, E000. And one more time around. The hands and the feet I'll do all at once, so E21, E00, and E000. Just gently blend that out. Okay, now for the hands, again with the E11, now she's got a 3/4 inch sleeve, so the underside of her arm and the crook, and right where the bracelet's laying, I think, and where the leash is. And then over here, again, underneath the shirt, by the bracelet area, the underneath of her arm and hand. Okay, and then we might as well, if it can be in frame, do her feet that are showing here. So I'm just going to take that E11 and go right along there. Now my E21, starting back up at the hands and just blending that out. Now the hands are quite thin, so you really need to just do a gentle touch so that you can blend it out. And then the feet. E00. E000. Now, with the hair area, I'm not too worried if the skin tone goes onto the hair, because I know what color I'm doing her hair. And I'm going to add just a little bit more shading onto her with some E11. And then my E21 to blend that out. And sometimes I just kind of gently go over it, barely touching it, because it's already wet from putting that first base coat, and will kind of blend itself a bit. And then my E00, and I don't know if I'm going to add the E000 to here. Hopefully I'm not covering with my hand. And then I'll just do a very light blend with my E000. Okay, so there is my skin. Okay, now for the hair, the colors I am going to use are, whoa, I use my E50, but only to put down where my darker areas are going to be, so that when I go back you don't really see it. So my main colors I'll be using are E51, 53, 55, and 57. I don't know how well that will focus, but you can hear me. Okay, so I'm going to take that E50 like I said, and I'm just going to lay down this light color where it's going to be darker. So I'm going to leave it white where I want my highlights to be. So when the hair pops out that way, I think it's going to be lighter there. When it bends in, it's going to be darker. Towards, you know, her back and under her face is going to be darker. That bump there, but here by her headband will be darker. So you barely be able to see it, but then for her bangs, since I said it's going to be kind of straight on, a little bit up, I'm going to have darkness at the bottom of her hair here. And then under the bow, there will be a shadow. And then coming straight down. And then on this side, there's a little behind here. And then coming up here. And down here. And I just kind of get a feel, and you know, if I feel that as I coloring it I want to add more of a highlight or less of one, I did it in such a light color that it won't matter. I always take the absolute lightest version of the colors I'm using for the hair and do that. So there's that, kind of my little guide. Now I'm going to start with my E57, my darkest, and I'm going to use my tip, and I'm going to go in a flicking motion like this. Yeah, was that on screen now? Was it? No, I don't know. I'll do it again. So just using the very tip, I'm using a flicking motion to get those kind of little lines for hair. And I'm going to actually start up here by the headband. And for my darkest color, I want the least amount. So right along here will be a little bit darker. And then a little bit here where it's bent up. I'm going this way a bit. And after I lay in my colors, I go back in with my darkest and add some little darker areas and strands of hair. So I'm just gently flicking in the directions. So this area will be darker, but I don't want it completely dark. Under her arm here will be a little darker from the shadow. And then here it dips down. Okay, and then the bottom here kind of dips. And everybody has different ways of coloring hair. I normally don't leave white parts. Other people love to leave white parts. I love how that looks. I just don't tend to do it myself. I always say I'm going to try to, and then I don't. So I'm going to do the bangs as well. I start over here. And I just try and do some shorter and longer strokes and try and make it, you know, like real hair is not perfect, the little strands of hair. And see, I went out of the line there. but that's okay. That's what our colorless blender helps with, right? And a bit under the bow there. And then I'm trying not to turn it. I'm so used to coloring it while turning. In between her arm there and under her hand. And then coming up here. Okay, and then there's that little line there. Okay, this is hard for me, not bending. I'm going to turn it just for a minute. Sorry guys, I gotta see what I'm doing a little bit here. This line here. So just for this one side that's closest to me, I will turn it. And then this bend here, we're going to come up, back down, bring this further, fill that little curl in there and that dip. Okay. I just want to add a few little strands there. Okay. Turn it back to you guys. Now I'm going to take my E55 and I'm going to gently go over the entire thing and just flick further out. After I lay down my darkest, I think it tends to go pretty fast. I work quickly with it. In my mind I do. In my mind I'm going quickly, and you guys probably are like, yeah, that's not quick. Or it is, and that's why I'm always going out of the lines. So I'm still continuing that flicking motion. I know for myself, after that darkest color, if I go slow, I'm going to have exactly perfectly lined lines that aren't, they'll all be the same length instead of some being short and some being long. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just blending that out. Okay. I'm going to fill in that area under her arm. Let's see if I can do this part now without turning it. I hope I'm not covering you guys too much. In order to film this, I had to put the camera higher than where I am. So I kind of have to lean up on my toes a bit to see what I'm filming. So we're just continuing that flicking motion further out from our first ones. Okay, and now we're going to take our E53 and do the exact same thing going further out. Now this time I don't always go over the entire thing. Like I don't go over my completely darkest areas because this will blend it a lot more and I want some of those streaks in there. So I'm just going to kind of fill in most of my areas here, going up and down so that I'm not just blending one way. Okay. Don't get worried, guys, we're not done yet. Blend that a bit. Okay, and I am going to use a little bit of the E51 to lighten up the highlighted areas just a bit, because this is going to take away some color. And then what I'm going to do, Okay, I'm not used to this angle, so I'm going to take my E57 again, and I'm going to put some streaks in. And these are going to be slightly fuller streaks. Okay, and it's not really what I was going for, but I'm sideways here, so that's okay. So we're going to just kind of make some fun little streaks going in here, kind of following with how our hair is going. Okay. Sorry, I'm so quiet. I get mad at myself for going out of the lines, but then I go too fast and trying to focus because I'm sideways here. Okay, so I gotta turn it a minute. Okay, so fill that in again. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to take my 53, I think. Let's see how that goes with just one. Yeah, I'm going to take my E53 and just go over the whole thing. And this will blend some of the lines, but not all of them. So, because I want some of them, but I want some of them to blend, and I'm just weird that way, I guess. Okay. But it also won't get rid of all your highlights either that you did. Now, the bang here in some of these areas are bothering me, so I am going to take a little bit of the 55 and just blend it just a pinch. So this is the E55. I'm just blending up and down a little bit. Okay. Okay, and then go back with my 53. And this side I'm not really liking because I'm sideways. So let me turn this and see if I can get it to my liking. Okay, take a little pinch more 55. I know you guys are like, okay already, finish with the hair. This is why projects take me forever. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to take the E51 And just touch up those highlights one last time, gently, very gently, because it's going to take a white color. Okay, so there is the hair. Now, as you can see, I got a little dot there on her skin. So before I stop from that, I am going to take my E00 and I'm going to gently blend that back up a bit. And then take my E11 and just touch that up one more time. And there you go. And then I don't have it next to me, but when I start back up in a minute, I'll have my colorless blender and I will get rid of the marks that I got out of the line, and then we will start on the rest of her. So hopefully you guys were able to see and don't mind the way that I color so far, if that makes sense. And I'll be right back.